Stick comms, mic check. Thank you. Recenter. Center.
Good morning. At ease, everybody. Well, welcome to the Friday press conference. Thanks so much for being here and covering it. We've had a tough week in Oklahoma starting last Saturday night. So just continuing to pray for all those families that are impacted by the damage and the tornadoes that came through. I went on Sunday to Sulphur and was able to tour the damage there Sunday afternoon. And man, in my 6 years as governor, that was probably the worst damage I've seen. It just really destroyed the town of Sulphur. So we are doing everything we can to help with the assistance there, and just give you an update on that. Tuesday, I was in Marietta. I believe it was Tuesday, right? Tuesday, I was in Marietta with the FEMA director. So she's been wonderful. So the administrator has reached out. We've talked several times on the phone. She came to Oklahoma. They had the regional director already on the ground here with us. The president reached out to me on Sunday night to check on Oklahomans and really thanked him for that. So I wanted to share that with Oklahomans, that the president, Biden, reached out to check on our well-being and offer any assistance that they could be of help with. So we've already had our FEMA approval done, which is just record time. And our federal delegation, we've been working really close with them, and they are petitioning for 100% match for the first 90 days and then a 90-10 match on a go-forward basis. We're still waiting on that. It won't be any less than 75-25. And so you can, just to remind Oklahomans, you can go to damage.ok.gov, and we're encouraging everyone to put in their information there as we're still gathering up all the data. And we've also asked to include Carter County, so they're still waiting on that report as well. So just also encourage Oklahomans. It's been really neat for me to see, just once again, the Oklahoma standard as Oklahomans have reached out, how they can help, how they can come in and serve their fellow Oklahomans. And then other governors in other states. Florida sent some assets up. The governor of Arkansas has reached out and sent help over as well. And multiple other states from all over have come in to help Oklahomans on the cleanup effort. So with that, let me just stop and open it up to questions and whatever you'd like to hear more about.
What did you think about the Pro-Champs invitation?
One second. We'll give you a microphone. Yes, sir.
The judge ruled yesterday, Jim C. McGirt is a free man. He can be released from prison anytime in the next 30 days. What are your thoughts on his case being over? But obviously this has changed Oklahoma forever.
Yeah, I mean, when I heard that, just really shocked, like I think most Oklahomans. So McGirt is what started this whole mess and this whole jurisdictional problem. But this guy is a child rapist. He should still be in prison. We had him in prison until his defense attorneys came up with a crazy scheme that he shouldn't be tried as an Oklahoman from Oklahoma court. So this is what I've been trying to let people know, that there's a two-tiered system in justice now, depending on your race. And that's the media's job. You guys are gonna have to cover this kind of stuff. I've been screaming it from the balconies for 4 years now, and but this is I hear it all the time. I heard a case in Tahlequah. A guy ran over a kid and killed him, and he's getting 18 months deferred sentence. We hear cases like this. Call your DAs, call your sheriffs. You can see a difference in justice system. The case that I would talk a lot about to let people know, there was three bad guys beat up an 85-year-old man, almost killed him, and 2 guys are still in prison. One gets out because of the McGirt decision. So you've got same crime on the same day. 2 people are still in prison and 1 gets out because of their race. That's un-American. That's not justice for all. And but this, if McGirt gets out, Jim C. McGirt, we should all be saying shame on us.
About the budget summit on Monday, the pro-tem took it on itself to invite all the members of the legislature. What did you think about that, and where will the meeting held kind of given that?
So you said he invited all the legislature?
He said he replied all on the email that you sent to him.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. I'm really excited about the budget transparency. If you remember, I've been talking about budget transparency for a long time. I called the House and Senate in for a special session, so I really applaud them. This is really, really exciting. I hope everybody watches, everybody in Oklahoma. It's going to be live streamed. There's going to be media there. This is a really, really good thing. It's going to be held in the governor's conference room, so hopefully you guys come, and I think some of the media will be there, and this will be great. The budget chairs will be able to talk about, in a very open setting, the budget. As Oklahomans know, it's pretty simple where I stand. We believe in limited government. We believe in lower taxes. I want to get Oklahoma on a path to zero. Let's not spend more than our income, and let's make sure we have a good savings account. And so to protect us for future generations. So again, it'll be a great day on Monday, and I'm excited that the House and Senate is going to sit down together. And as the CEO or the governor of the state, that's what I do. Is I'm trying to bring people together to get this budget across the finish line. So let's do it. It's going to be a great conversation, and looking forward to it.
On the same lines, Governor, been some advancements in transparency, right? The House is committed 24 hours after state capitals drop for vote. The portal is online for people to look at it. See the change logs. I'm sure your staff can track that. On the other hand, yesterday, Pro Tem Freed essentially said we're backing up 4 or 5 weeks back to where things were a month ago, before any of the things that former Chairman Thompson had kind of had conversations with the House. The House is a little frustrated. They feel like deals have been cut. I don't know whether your office was involved in any of that. So do you have concern that now it's May 3rd, there's a new chairman of the Budget Committee in the Senate, and it looks like all the stuff that was on the website for the last month is no longer relevant?
That's why I'm calling them together, to sit down to figure this out. So when when Roger Thompson was removed as the appropriations chair, I don't know. It seems kind of weird. It's a knee-jerk reaction, getting rid of your offensive coordinator right before the big game or right before the Super Bowl. So Roger Thompson's been here the whole time I've been here. So he knows a lot about the budget. But I can't speak to that's the pro tem's prerogative, I guess. The Senate is going to decide if they're going to start back over. I hadn't actually heard that. I knew we were close, and I think the House and Senate have been meeting all session. But if they're starting back at square zero, I think that's why they need to get together on Monday, because the legislature writes the budget, and they have a tough job on where do we put this money and where do we invest in this, and from a big picture standpoint, I just keep coming back to what Oklahomans understand. Here's our income. Let's not spend more than our income, right? Let's not obligate. We can't write a hot check. We can't spend more than our income. And then we need to have a savings account. It's pretty financial 101 that you and I and most Oklahomans sitting at their kitchen table have to deal with. They can't spend more than their income. And that would be my suggestion, and what I'm trying to push is let's do that. And let's not forget about inflation. And let's not forget about working families, that if you haven't got a 25% pay increase since 2020, you've actually lost money because your buying power and things costing so much. So it's time to give Oklahomans a tax cut. And you hear me talking about that. If we don't do that now, if we don't do that when we have excess revenue, I don't know when we can do it.
Moving to House Bill 4156 that was just signed this week, there are some concerns raised by different industries about possible labor shortages because of legislation now coming along. Can you speak more to ways we can solve that issue? And I know there's a task force that also you plan to assemble. Can you speak more to how that task force will work here in Oklahoma?
Sure, yeah. So for Oklahomans, I mean, and 4156 was, I think, the legislature's attempt to, help with border security, to push back on the Biden's policies. President Biden has got us in a really tough situation. There's been 16 million come illegal across the southern border. That's according to a lot of estimates. And so we have to have border security, number one, right? We're going to be a law and order state. But it really broke my heart thinking about some of the working families in Oklahoma that were very fearful of this. I've talked to law enforcement. It's not the intent of hardworking people that are here, that are working, that are doing the right thing. This, I think, is an attempt to put a tool in the toolbox for the law enforcement. That if you're breaking the law, if you're involved in an illegal marijuana industry and some things that are happening there, then they want to make sure that we're a law and order state. At the same time, I know we have a broken workforce visa immigration policy. It's broken. The feds are not fixing it. So I set this task force up just to say, can we do our own workforce visas? Because if you're going to be paying taxes and working hard, and you're going to be part of the Oklahoma economy and our society, and you want to become an American, we need more workforce. And we need it in our manufacturing, in our agriculture, in our construction industry. And I'm not talking about U.S. citizenship, but I'm talking about, a workforce permit. And so it just makes a lot of sense to me. So I asked the task force, can we figure that out in the state of Oklahoma, which would obviously put a lot of pressure on the feds to do their job. And so that's what I hope the task force comes away with. But I'm trying to alleviate some fear that, if you're doing things the right way, then I don't think you have a lot to worry about here in Oklahoma.
If you wanted to go back to taxes real quick, half an hour ago, the state treasurer released the April 2024 gross receipts of Treasury, and it appears, and I'm no expert on this stuff, that the headline is there's a decrease of about $584 million. Of that, I think the largest decrease is gross production tax on petroleum production, $853 million. Income tax is up. So I suppose on the one hand, income tax going up would imply maybe, there's room to cut things, but then overall revenues are down more than $500 million. Does that concern you? Do you look at these things when they come out from Treasurer Russ? Do you meet with him? I mean, you've always said don't spend more than you're bringing in, and if receipts are down $500 million, does that change your thoughts on it being a time for income tax?
Well, I haven't looked at your exact numbers, and I don't know if you're comparing December to today or what you're comparing. So I'll have to dig into the weeds there. But the thing that I always tell Oklahomans, absolutely, if revenue is down, I'm never suggesting that we cut revenue below expenses. So that's a given. We're not suggesting that we would ever have to cut core services. But at the same time, I don't think it's fair to spend $1.5 billion of our savings, okay, when you can't even do a $250 million quarter of a point tax cut, or we can't flatten out the brackets and give people on the lower income, give them, basically flatten that all out so nobody on the lower income even pays taxes. So I think there's a lot of ways we can do that. But as far as I know, we're in fiscal year 24 right now, and when fiscal year 24, our gross receipts are up from where we predicted they would be last year. So we're tracking up about $500 million through June 30th. And so you're talking about whatever projections for 25 that we had the Board of Equalization. I'd have to go back and look and see if they've revised those numbers down. I'm not familiar with that. Okay. Okay, I'll look at that. Yes, sir.
Hey, how's it going, Governor? Senator Floyd put out a release like an hour ago talking about the Women's Leadership Program being canceled at OU.
Say the what?
The Pipeline and Politics Project at OU is canceled. And Senator Floyd put out a release basically saying it was due to your executive order banning DEI in politics that they canceled this leadership program for women specifically that helps them. You put out a release, so the question is, why wouldn't you want a program that encourages women to work in government or run for office? They canceled it because of the DEI order. You speak to that.
Well, I can assure you, I want more women working in politics, more women working in the oil and gas industry. So if she's suggesting that I don't want more women working in politics or in oil and gas, that's just completely false. And also, I would say that the University of Oklahoma didn't cancel any program except for if there's a diversity, equity, and inclusion program that's basically based on race, because I've been very clear. I want to make sure that we promote first-generation college students, veterans, kids from low income. All I said is don't make it based on race. And I think that lines up with Oklahoma values. So what's happening with apparently Miss Floyd's press release or whatever she's doing, she's just trying to confuse Oklahomans. This is a tactic that a politician would use to try to confuse the viewers. Oh, Governor Stitz doesn't like women, and so he can't. This is just absurd. Everybody that knows me, everybody that knows, that's just a politician, talking out of both sides of her mouth, and Oklahomans are too smart for that.
Yes, sir. There was a story earlier this week. A lot of school district superintendents were complaining that the Oklahoma State Department of Education did not allow AP information to be used when compiling its national and state rankings of schools, and it resulted in the list being somewhat skewed and Oklahoma schools really being downgraded on the national list. Have you spoken to Superintendent Walters about this, and do you share the concerns of the district superintendents?
I have not spoken to him about it. I saw a little bit about that. But of course, that's the thing with statistics. We want to get all the information up there. We want to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples. We know I would put Oklahomans up against anyone from a workforce standpoint. We need more AP programs in there. So if they've missed something, I don't know if they did, but if they've missed something on getting it up for a ranking, then we need to do a better job. But because it just don't give them the gun to shoot us with, right? We want to make sure that we're promoting Oklahoma, and if there's something that we didn't do correctly, then let's fix it. And but it's a big organization. There's 31,000 employees, and sometimes things slip through or somebody messes up on something, and we need to obviously hold those folks accountable, and let's get every piece of good information up we can to promote Oklahoma.
I've been talking to some law enforcement in the Tulsa Metro about the immigration bill, and they're not mad, they get it, but their fear is this is going to be an unfunded mandate. They don't have access to the software. Do they need to hire somebody to do immigration a day and then a second person at night? Do you feel, especially as budget talks are happening next week, maybe you need some grants or something in the budget to help law enforcement adjust to the bill you just signed?
Well, if I know Tulsa and Oklahoma City kind of did both those police departments put out a press statement on trying to alleviate some fear. If they need a special appropriation, then obviously we're still in session. They can bring that over to the appropriation chairs and talk to them about it. Would not be opposed to that. Again, we're going to be a law and order state, and when those bills come to my desk, it was a pretty simple. I mean, this basically just said we have to follow the law. And I'd also say it's already illegal to come to Oklahoma undocumented, to come into the United States undocumented. That's already against the law. So this law didn't not really change anything on that specific thing. So, but really, we're trying to highlight the border security, and then we're trying to highlight also the need for workforce permits, right? So if you're going to be here and you want to contribute, and you've got an employer that needs to hire a labor, and you've got somebody that wants to work and do the right thing, and they don't have any kind of criminal background, and they want to be part of our system, then of course we ought to make a way for that. And so that's what the task force is for. But I haven't heard specifically from Tulsa or Oklahoma City that they're going to need more resources to check some kind of database. If they need that, then you just talk to the appropriation chairs. Thanks, everybody.